Maybe there is a different concept concerning what revolution is. And being a teacher, I was educated to say when I do not understand something, I don't say I disagree. I say I have another opinion, I have another perception. But for me, it is absolutely necessary to clear out that according to my personal viewpoint, what is going on in Libya is not a revolution. It is not a revolution. It's something which has been really masterminded by the USA government, and it has been proven that even the CIA has all the furniture with weapons to those opposition forces. So that's why we should be really very clear. This is not a revolution. A revolution is a more social process which goes through a very long time of creating awareness and consciousness on the people. And for sure, it's something which has been masterminded. And why do I make this comment? Because it's not only Venezuela who is in risk of something to happen, the same as the ambassador said before, also our country. They have been trying to apply exactly the same technique in all Latin American countries and in all third world countries at the present. For you to know, at this very moment you have heard a lot of concerning Cuba, violation of the human rights, the so-called independent journalists, the ladies in white, whatever you have heard before. And it has been proven that all those things has been manipulated, masterminded to try to create revolt within the Cuban society, as they are doing exactly in Libya at present, and they have probably trying to do also in our sister nation of Venezuela. So I take the chance to let you know that I have brought with me a series concerning the reasons of Cuba. I really advise you to watch those videos. We will leave it in here. We have plenty of copies now. For you to know what is really happening in our country and which is really happening in many other countries of the world. And those are not revolutions. Those are processes of encouragement on the part of the USA government, on the part of the USA, to try to overturn and to crash all those social processes. It does not mean that we as Cubans are supporting Gaddafi. That's not what we are talking about. That's not what we are talking about. And I also sign up the words of my ambassador. We are all supporting the right of a people, no matter what people is, to take and decide their own destiny without any other hand out of his nationwide. And I also agree, even though despite any support we are not giving to Gaddafi, that's the problem, internal problems we really respect. But for sure, the main objective of the United States to create those revolts within that country is nothing more than all those resources they both have mentioned before. Thank you very much.
In a nutshell, if you don't do what Washington wants you to do, you'll be demonised. And that's precisely what happened to Gaddafi when he nationalised the oil. I've also been to Libya twice. I went there in 1979 to take part in a conference on the Palestinian question. Now, as they said at the time, it's the only country in the world that could have hosted such a conference. And at that meeting in '79 in Tripoli, was when the Sandinistas came out and introduced themselves for the first time to the whole world. And I went again in 1989 to act as a human shield, because at that time President Reagan threatened to bomb Libya back to the Stone Age, because he was accusing Libya of Gaddafi that he was using Raptor, which was a pharmaceutical plant, of making chemical weapons. And so a whole lot of people around the world joined in to stay there in case of a bombing, to virtually surround the place. In the event, of course, he didn't bomb it, and in the event it turned out that there were no chemical weapons. It was a pharmaceutical plant, as they said, Gaddafi had said all along. And the other lie that's promoted again and again, and I've done a hell of a lot of research on this, is that the Libyans did not bomb Pan Am 103. They were not responsible for it. I've done a great deal of research in that, and it's a very complex story, but they did not do it. So it suits them to trot this out again and again and again to demonise him. And it is strange, we did meet Gaddafi in a bloody tent, and that's quite an experience. And he does dress weirdly, so what? You know, and I mean, I think we do have to respect the sovereignty of other people. And in this instance, we know that the head of the military, the so-called rebels, and God knows every media outlet calls them rebels. Were they given a direction to call them rebels? I've never heard them described in any other way, in this country anyway. And the person heading it, the military person, was a long-time CIA person. And that's been well documented. Why don't our media take a look at that? It's not that hard to get that information if you're interested, but they don't want to. So they trot out as being the most grovelly country in the world, we are, which to our shame, which is so heartening to hear of alternatives to the wretched setup we've got in this country. I just wish to God we could, you know, get some of it here. But I'd like to thank them anyway for giving us some heart and soul.
In relation to the topic and the developments that are taking place in Africa and the Middle East,
parece que produce mucha polémica,
obviously it produces a lot of polemics.
¿no? Pareciera que necesitamos guerra para que pueda haber polémica,
And so
¿no?
it looks like we need to have wars so we can have this sort of discussion sometimes.
¿No? Lamentablemente esa es la realidad.
Sort of with regret, I think that's sort of the reality sometimes.
Pero lo que sí yo puedo decir es que hay pueblos que están construyendo en paz su futuro.
But one thing I can say that there are countries that are constructing a future in peace.
Hay distintos caminos de conseguir soluciones a los problemas.
There are a variety of different roads that you can take to overcome and to reach certain solutions, to overcome certain problems.
Bolivia enfrenta su propia realidad,
That is, for example, Bolivia confronts its own reality.
¿no? Brasil tiene su propia dimensión de la sociedad.
In Brazil, there's a particular way that they develop their society.
Cuba tiene su propio desarrollo histórico,
And also
económico.
Cuba has its own economic progress.
Entonces pareciera que como en Cuba venden Coca-Cola, ahora es un país capitalista.
And so some people say just because in Cuba they sell Coca-Cola now, some people say that now it's a capitalist country.
O porque comen salmón. Comen salmón.
And because now some people eat fish or eat salmon in Cuba, somehow that's a capitalist country now.
O porque hay un Mercedes-Benz de taxi, por
Or
ejemplo.
because some taxis are actually Mercedes-Benz.
Yo creo que esa simpleza de análisis
And I think it's important to point out that that sort of simple analysis
ayuda mucho a la reacción y a la derecha mundial,
that actually helps the right wing around the world.
¿no? Y decir que, por ejemplo, que en Cuba hay un burocratismo,
And so, for example, some people say, yeah, there's bureaucracy in Cuba,
¿no? Que hay opresión,
and that there's oppression,
¿no? Que hay presos políticos,
that there are political prisoners,
¿no? Que en Venezuela hay una gran pobreza dentro de la riqueza petrolera.
and that in Venezuela that there is a lot of poverty, even though we have a lot of oil.
Todos esos comentarios no son un análisis realmente social,
And all those opinions aren't a real clear social analysis.
científico,
It's not a scientific analysis.
para realmente conducir a un análisis certero de lo que pasa en cada uno de
And
nuestros
so it's
países.
important to understand and have a clear understanding of what is happening in our own countries.
Nosotros tenemos 12 años en el gobierno,
Now we have 12 years of being in power,
pero hemos sido objeto de distintos y variados ataques.
but we have been the object and the target of various attacks.
Y por supuesto estamos esperando ataques mayores.
And we also are expecting a variety of greater attacks in the future.
Porque por ejemplo, la cuarta flota de los Estados Unidos
And for example, the Fourth Fleet of the United States
no había sido activada desde la Segunda Guerra Mundial.
had not been activated since the Second World War.
Y de esa flota ha sido activada para el dominio de todo lo que es Latinoamérica.
But now it has been activated to control all of what is happening in Latin America.
Porque en Latinoamérica están sucediendo cosas.
Because in Latin America there's a lot of things happening.
Nosotros hemos resistido 12 años.
And we have been able to resist 12 years.
Pero el pueblo cubano tiene resistiendo más de 50 años.
But the Cuban people have been resisting for over 50 years.
¿No? Y en el pueblo cubano no se ha muerto nadie de hambre.
And in the Cuban, no one in Cuba has died of starvation or has died
No.
of starvation during this period.
Pero en el gran país del imperio se muere gente de hambre.
But in the biggest country of imperialism, thousands of people die of poverty.
Como es en los Estados
Because
Unidos.
of lack of food, that is in the United States.
En los Estados Unidos hay gente que duerme en las calles en carpa.
In the United States, there are people who sleep on the streets in tents.
Yo no sé de los que han ido aquí a Cuba si han visto gente durmiendo en la calle, familias durmiendo en la
I'm not sure of
calle.
anyone here who has been to Cuba if they've ever seen someone live on the streets, living in tents on the
O
streets.
gente haciendo cola para pedir alimentos todos los días en casas de alimentación.
Or people sort of joining the lines to beg for food in food houses.
¿No? Y eso es producto de una organización de un pueblo, de un proyecto socialista.
And because in Cuba there has been a development, a socialist project, something that has been developed by the people themselves.
Y Venezuela está construyendo su propio modelo socialista.
And in Venezuela we are developing our own socialist model.
Y tenemos nuestro modelo de democracia.
And we have our own model of democracy.
En Cuba hay un modelo de democracia.
In Cuba they have their model of democracy.
Allí eligen a los miembros de la Asamblea Nacional.
There they elect the members of the National Assembly.
¿No? Donde hay una dictadura
Where there is a dictatorship
es en los Estados Unidos.
is in the United States.
Porque ahí tienen durante muchos años
Because there for many years,
mandando el Pentágono.
there the Pentagon actually decide what
Es decir,
happens.
la empresa militar es la que domina los Estados
That is,
Unidos.
it's a military hierarchy that dominates and
Los
controls the
distintos
United States.
presidentes son unos payasos.
That is that the president's only clowns in the whole process.
Que es lo que han dominado.
But being a Cuban, as I said before, we cannot stand just having an idea in mind. And I like the way you face the information gap. I like the way you said why he and why now. I also want to leave something on mind. Why Libya and why not Israel if they are with even more with the Palestinians?
Bueno, no, muchas gracias por la asistencia
I'd like to thank you for your presence here tonight.
y que yo creo que debemos estar más atentos, buscar distintas fuentes de información.
And we have to be very alert and make sure that we're looking at different forms of information.
Porque en nuestros países están pasando muchos eventos que a lo mejor no llegan aquí aquí por lo menos a Australia.
And because there's a lot of things happening throughout the world and maybe the information is not getting through to us here in Australia.
Por ejemplo, desde el lunes de esta semana,
For example, since Monday of this week,
en Venezuela ha estado en todas las ciudades
throughout all the cities of Venezuela,
la gente celebrando el 13 de abril
the people have been celebrating the 13th of April.
por distintas formas,
And they've been celebrating that in different forms,
desde tomarse cervezas
from just drinking a few beers,
hasta asistiendo a manifestaciones, a conferencias.
but also participating in conferences and also mass mobilizations.
La semana pasada hubo en Cuba un evento en la Plaza de la Revolución.
And last
No me
week,
acuerdo cuál era el evento que había
and last week there was a big event in Cuba in the Plaza of
de los
Plaza of the
pioneros.
Revolution.
Era algo así, de los pioneros. Es decir, que en nuestros países cada día hay actos en defensa de nosotros mismos, de nuestros países.
And that is simply to say that every day there are demonstrations in support of our countries, of what we're doing in our countries.
Eso es para demostrarle al imperio cada día de que estamos vivos.
And that's also, for us, it's important to continue to do that, to show to imperialism that we are still
Y que
alive,
son pueblos que están en pie de lucha.
and that we are a people in struggle.
Si a nosotros nos dejaran tranquilos
That is, if they left us alone,
y no tuviéramos que estar la mitad de nuestro cuerpo pendiente del enemigo,
And if we didn't have to spend half of our time looking at what the enemy is doing,
seguramente seremos una potencia mundial también en una cantidad de cosas.
we would probably then be a world leader in a variety of different areas.
Nuestros campesinos tienen que estar la mitad del día cultivando y la mitad del día pendiente que le van a destruir los cultivos.
And for example, our peasantry has to spend half their time worried about how their food is being destroyed, and only half the time actually producing the food.
Es decir, el futuro lo tenemos nosotros.
That is, the future belongs to us.